So we moved from Durban to Cork in June of 2021, and we had 5-star art-themed guest houses in South Africa, so we have a 20-year background in hospitality. So it made natural sense that when we moved to Ireland that I would work in hotels, and it was quite a thing to go back to formal employment and have a boss again after 20 years of being self-employed. The journey with art started in 2016 when I did an introduction to oil painting for beginners class, and it turned out I was quite good at it and painted a lot while I waited for guests to come for breakfast or to check in or check out. And at some point a guest asked me, do I sell them? And I said, of course I do. So I ended up having an art gallery in the B&B, which worked really well, and that created a body of work that now sits all over the world with clients that have purchased my work, which is lovely. So when we moved to Ireland, I went back to working in formal employment with hotels, and my most recent job was with the Montanati Hotel, working as their people and culture manager. The decision to leave full-time employment and go to full-time self-employment again was really to pursue my interest in both art and learning and development, and to find a way to combine these two things. So my art has been really quite focused on belonging to specific organizations like Sample Studios. I've recently joined the West Cork Collective, and I'm on my 5th solo exhibition since leaving my full-time job. So it's really been an exciting journey of building connection and network through the Cork scene. Taking the leap into full-time art did require a certain amount of bravery, and it was a difficult decision because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and of course we're fairly new to Ireland. We've been living here 4 years, so it was quite a big decision, but I thought, if I don't do it now, when will I do it? And I still have a good 12 years of working life left, but it's something really important to me, and I like the idea of being able to inspire and empower others wherever possible, to be brave and to make decisions that will help them be more entrepreneurial perhaps. And because I come with a unique skill set of hospitality, business and art, it does put me in a bit of a different lane to most artists that I've come into contact with. That doesn't mean that you don't need other part-time income, of course. That is clearly something that we all need, but it allows us to have a primary focus of art, which is really good. So yeah, it's been an interesting exercise in tenacity and trying to forge a way forward, but I'm really happy with the progress that's been made and the amount of connections that have happened, and I've sold a lot of paintings, which is great, and as I said earlier, I've had loads of exhibitions, which has really been good exposure and connection for me. The style that I paint in, first of all, I'm an oil painter, so I like to work with the richness of the colors and the vibrancy that comes with painting with oil. I have a bit of a unique process that I follow that involves running ink down the canvas and then using an acrylic wash where I cover up most of that ink run, but I reveal some of it, and then I work that into the fabric of the painting. You can see that on this as an example. That gives an idea of how these ink runs come down, how there's an acrylic wash, so these cows are still going to be painted in, but it's a very specific process and a little unique to me. It's almost like varicose veins that are the under painting or the underbody of the main painting, and that's an example of a work in progress. My themes tend to be pretty much anything that catches my eye. I like to paint all things bright and beautiful. I like my art to be something that brings joy and happiness and beauty to a home or an office. I'm very fortunate to have such a beautiful surrounding here in Cork and Ireland. So I paint anything from florals to landscapes. I love painting portraits. I've done a recent series of big portraits, and I do a lot of commissions around things that are nostalgic or memories linked to people's lived experience. I think anything that I paint that involves people is always special. I particularly like painting nostalgic or memory-filled or induced paintings that show how people enjoy life, like kids playing on a beach or something like that. I do have a project that I'm really keen to work on, and that is linked to people that come to Ireland and naturalise as Irish citizens. That's something of particular interest to me. And I've started paying attention to the countries that are in the top 10 of naturalisation. So India, Brazil, UK are the top 3, South Africa's at number 7. And I would love to do a body of work where I paint a representative of each of those top 10 countries. I think in the recent naturalisation citizenship ceremonies, there were 141 countries represented, but this top 10 are fascinating me, so it would be a really visually diverse group of portraiture that would have people from India, Philippines, Hong Kong, USA, South Africa, Nigeria, and I think it just would be a really interesting body of work. And my plan is that that would hopefully land up in the Department of Irish Immigration, which forms part of the Department of Justice. My dad, as an Irish immigrant coming to South Africa, landed up working for the Department of Justice in South Africa as an Attorney General, and his service to the government was a total of 41 years working for the Department of Justice as an Irish immigrant. And that would be a really cool thing if this body of work landed up in Irish immigration in the Department of Justice. So moving to Cork and living in Cork, and especially travelling in and around West Cork, has been a huge source of inspiration for me. And the subject matter of my paintings is typically how I experience life and my journey through life. Almost everything I paint is a photograph that I have taken, and that is what I use as the reference photo for my paintings. So whether it be cows or boats or a grasshopper or a beautiful girl at a bar, the theme of my art is always what I see and how I experience Ireland through my eyes, literally. Another thing that's happened since moving to Cork is I've really refined my process in terms of how I activate my canvases, how I do my paintings. That has allowed me a certain amount of freedom to develop a more specific style of painting and allow me to develop my art practice quite specifically. So it's given me quite a unique style because I've had more time now to focus on my style and on my art practice since I've left my full-time job. So yeah, it's really been an exciting process, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go to. If I think to my favorite paintings, I think they're often the beach ones. For me, walking on a beach, a long beach, is a very good and soothing way of helping your soul recharge and reinvigorate. And I really enjoy taking images and painting images of people who are enjoying nature and enjoying being outside. I love the sound of the ocean and the waves crashing. I enjoy the beauty of people enjoying themselves on the beach. Those tend to be really popular. It works well with my style as well, that I can use the ink runs. I use a technique where I run the oil medium down on the canvas after I've painted it. So that gives a little bit of shimmer and glimmer, especially on those beach scenes where there's water and there's sort of the atmosphere of the sky and the water and the beach. And I like how that then shimmers in the reflection of the sand that has little bits of residual water on them. I think anything that has Inchydoney Beach in it or anything related to West Cork, those are really part of my favourite scenes. And then, as you saw, I have a beautiful view out the front of our house, which is literally exaggerating 50 shades of green to the nth degree. So I love painting anything to do with that. So it's really about, what do I see that's pretty, that I like, that's caught my eye. I very often paint things that have reflections or shadows. I find that really interesting, and I like to use my technique to accentuate that, because that's really what art is. It's a reflection and a shadow of our life experience. A typical day in the studio is not that typical a day. Myth that artists are sitting painting 5 days a week is exactly that. It's a myth, because practically you're putting out applications for funding, you're responding to open calls, you are putting in orders for fine art prints and cards, or you're out buying your materials, or you're out taking reference photos. Practically, I tend to paint maybe 1 day a week or 2 days a week at the most. I've developed a process where I can work on multiple paintings at the same time. I would invariably draw up and activate 4 to 6 canvases at a time. If they're more landscape themed, then I'll then go and put in all the skies, I'll then go and put in all the darks, and then I'll start working on them one by one. So a typical day in the studio, if it is a studio day, not an admin day or a marketing day or an exhibition day, typically that would start with getting my paints ready, organizing everything. I would then go through a process of mixing all my colors in preparation for painting. And then once I've got that done, the music goes on and then I'm ready to paint. And then it's a good solid 7 to 8 hours of straight painting. So it tends to be very productive time, but there's a lot of preparation and almost meditation through mixing the paint that gets me into the zone to paint, and then I go for it. And then I tend to be quite prolific and quite not fast at painting, because once all those basic things are done and I've got the drawing up, the activation, the big blocks in, then I'm ready to paint and I can go for it. So yeah, a typical day in the studio is very much like today. It's a day where I'm ready and I can focus and I've got undiluted time, and typically that is a Saturday, sometimes a Sunday, where I just go and I have everybody else at home and they're pottering around in the background. But it allows me time just to paint and to be focused and to be productive. So what I'm working on at the moment is I have been really focused up until now in preparation for my exhibition at the Kinsale Library, where my focus was primarily on in and around Kinsale. Now that that has successfully been delivered and it was a great exhibition and a beautiful space, really given myself permission now to paint some of the things that I really want to paint. So I like painting my cows. I have a Durban aloe beach scene that's ready to go. I did 2 big portraits. I painted my large grasshopper. So these are things that have been waiting in the wings, no pun intended with the grasshopper, literally waiting to be painted, not necessarily for commercial gain, but for artistic gain for me. And they're paintings that I love, and I'm sure at some point they will resonate with others. I think as artists, we are very often custodians of our pieces. We're not the owners of them, we're custodians of them until they go to their forever homes. And I'm always very excited that when I paint something I love and is important to me, or something beautiful in my opinion, it very often does resonate with others, and it's exciting to know that all these little babies are out in the universe creating some joy and some happiness for my clients. The commissions that I do are usually very special to the person who's requested it. Very typically it'll be a gift for a special milestone, so a 50th birthday, a 30th wedding anniversary. I recently did one to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of a client. He asked me to paint the restaurant where the little cafe 5 Points in Cork City on Curtin Street. A 30th wedding anniversary gift I was asked to do was a South African lady that moved to Melbourne in Australia. She had been living there nearly 26 years by the time she asked me, and she asked me to paint the beach scene of their first date that they ever went on, which was on Park Rainy Beach in the south coast of South Africa. So that painting was painted in South Africa and then shipped to Australia for her to gift to her husband as a 30th wedding anniversary gift. I was asked to paint a massive rave scene for one of my clients who loves flying internationally with his buddies to raves. So 1.5 meters by 2 meters, 12 portraits, strobe lights, and he surprised all his friends that he had incorporated into this special commission and had a cocktail party and then revealed this painting. And what was really, really cool was he sent me photos of each of the people with their corresponding portrait in the big painting. I mean, it was as big as double doors. It was so cool. And I paint a lot of memorial paintings. I have one of my guests who stayed at our B&B, also from Melbourne, funny enough, who asked me to paint his late wife, and it was just such a joy to paint because she just really wanted to be painted. And I had a a lady that was in my postgrad year at the University of Cape Town who asked me to paint her late husband. He'd been killed in the line of duty, very sadly, but she commissioned this little painting for her son's 21st birthday. He was 4 at the time when his dad passed away. So it was a really special little painting, and then for his Christmas gift she got me to paint her late dad. So this young adult has got these 2 gorgeous little paintings, joyous and full of life even though they've passed on, to remind him of his heritage and these paternal figures in his life watching over him and making sure he's okay. So each of them has a special memory, and it's really, really cool. So you can find me online. My hashtag is Emma Jacobs Art. I'm on Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn, and my website is www.emmajacobsart.com.